नमस्कार श्री Ramakrishna Kathamrita. तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदादतं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः. So we have completed Chaturtho Puriched, fourth chapter of Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita, Pratham Bhag, Pratham Khanda. And before we start with Pancham Puriched, the fifth chapter, let us recap what we read from chapters 2, 3 and 4. Chapter 2 was Sri M's maiden visit, the very first visit to Dakshineshwar to Sri Ramakrishna. Till that evening in the month of February 1882, Sri M didn't know anything about Sri Ramakrishna. He and his cousin Siddheshwar Mujumdar of North Barhanagar were just garden hopping from one garden to another aimlessly, no fixed plan. We will go here, we will go there. No, just we will go see this place, see that place, how it is. And when they were in Prasanna Banerjee's garden house, just walking across the garden, Sidhu asked Sri M, Gangar dhare একটি চমৎকার বাগান আছে, সে বাগানটি কি দেখতে যাবেন? সেখানে একজন পরমহংস আছেন, Sri Siddheshwar Mujumdar. Incidentally, since recently that we have started this reading from Sri Ramakrishna Vachanamrut, very recently I found a photograph of Sri Siddheshwar Mujumdar, and my brother Bhaskar Dada, he also shared this photograph with me. This is the photograph of Siddheshwar Mujumdar, which has recently started appearing on the Facebook and other social media. So we are grateful to this person, in fact, who just casually spoke about this Chamatkar Bagan, the wonderful, the marvelous, the beautiful garden on the bank of the Ganges. And he asked him, shall we go and see that? There, ekjon Paramhansa achen, one Paramhansa stays there. And Sri M, he casually consented. Come, let us go. We have time this evening. We can go to Dakshineshwar and then come back. Gongar Tire Bagan. We will see the Paramhans. I don't know whether Sri M had even then made up his mind to see the Paramhans. But since they were wandering from one place to another, he said, okay, come on, let us go. What is there? And in that let's go, what is there? A great history was created. Sri M comes to Sri Thakur's room, sees him from outside. Thakur sitting there on the cot in his room. The devotees sitting in front of him on the floor, and Thakur talking to them, Hori Katha, talking to them about God, about the Lord. Now this particular visit of Sri M had happened just a few days after Sri Ramakrishna had gone with Keshav Sen in steamer with Mr. Cook. So that is the signifying point of this date of visit. Sri Keshav Chandra Sen had taken Sri Ramakrishna in steamer, and they had a wonderful discussion about the spiritual matters. That was on 23rd of February 1882. And Sri M and Sidhu landed up at Dakshineshwar in front of Thakur's room a few days after that event. And the first teaching that Sri M heard from Sri Thakur. Sri Thakur was talking to other devotees. And this was also after few days after Sri Ramakrishna's birthday. Sri Ramakrishna's birthday in the year 1882. Now, Sri Ramakrishna, while talking to the devotees who were sitting in front of him on the floor in his room, he took up a point that when the formal duties, the formal worship comes to an end. And that was the very first saying of Sri Thakur that M heard. ঠাকুর বলিতেছেন, যখন একবার হরি বা একবার রাম নাম করিলে রোমাঞ্চ হয়ে অশ্রুপাত হয়ে তখন নিশ্চয়ই যেন যে সন্ধ্যাদি কর্ম আর করতে হবে না. Just by once listening to the name of God, to the name of Rama, to the name of Hari, or to the name of God, one's hair stands on end. One starts shedding tears after hearing the name of God just once. Know that that is the time when the formal worship like Sandhya, etc. comes to an end. কর্মত্যাগের অধিকার হয়েছে. That is the time when কর্ম আপনা আপনি ত্যাগ হয়ে যাচ্ছে. When this work, this formal worship on its own, automatically it drops off when one starts shedding tears for the God just after listening to his name once. And then what happens? Just repeating the name of Rama, repeating the name of Hari, that is good enough. And even if that is not possible to repeat the name of Rama or Hari, just repeat Om. Oh, that is it. And here we see that Thakur, in a way, is taking us from Dvait to Advait, from dualistic tendency to the monistic tendency, the Advaita form of worship, worshipping the formless. And this also has importance later in the 4th chapter. Sri Ramakrishna says that ultimately the Sandhya, the formal worship like Sandhya, it merges in Gayatri. And later on, as the spiritual aspirant advances on this path, the Gayatri merges in Om. So ultimately, it is nothing but Om. There is no Kriya Karma. There is no formal worship. But there is just Om. The formal worship merges into the mantra. The Sandhya merges into Gayatri mantra, which is the core of Sandhya. And finally, even the mantra merges in Om. So, listening to these two thoughts shared by Sri Ramakrishna with his devotees, M thought, what a wonderful teaching. Well, later M said, okay, let me go around, see the place, then I will come back. Then they again came back. Then M meets Brinda, the maidservant. And after asking a few questions, he must have read a lot of books. Vrinda says, books? Everything is on the tip of his tongue. Everything is on his lips. There is no need for him to read any books. And that was surprise of a surprise to him. That how can a person without reading books be so knowledgeable? In one sentence, Thakur has given the ultimate aim of worship. Sandhya to mantra, mantra to Om. Ram Nam or Hari Nam, or even if not that, just Om. Om, Om, Om. And that's what Sri M was wondering. That how come a person without studying any books, without any formal education, have such wonderful knowledge? Then M and Sidhu went to Sri Ramakrishna, the second chapter, and they had a small talk, and Sri Ramakrishna told him Abar Isho. This Abar Isho was the ultimate trap, and Sri M got trapped in it for the benefit of us. Look at Thakur's Leela, planning everything, M not knowing him and landing up at Dakshineshwar, and at the end of that first visit deciding আমি যাহার কাছে আবার ফিরিয়া যাইতে ইচ্ছা করিতেছে কে সৌম্য কে, who is this serene looking man, who is this serene person, I feel like coming to him again and again. So this is what happens at the end of the first visit, and second visit happens when Sri Ramakrishna, he takes it as a task to reprimand M and crush his egotistic tendency, crush his reasoning tendency, argumentative tendency, which has come out of his formal education, highly educated in was. M had such a doubt, who had studied logic to a great extent, that it was difficult for him to accept some of Sri Ramakrishna's views initially because of those egotistic tendencies. And that's how Sri Ramakrishna took it to eliminate his egotistic tendencies step by step. Like a diamond cutter. Diamond cutter doesn't cut the diamond at a one go. No. He cuts it, polishes it, looks at it. Is it doing right? Is it going the right way? Then the second cut. And like that, Sri Ramakrishna, he beautifully molded Sri M step by step, making him realize his faults, his lacuna, his wrong notions, and got them corrected. So this is how we saw in the fourth chapter how Sri Ramakrishna finally cut off his argumentative nature by telling him that you need not teach people. The one who has created this universe, he will teach the people. It is his responsibility. Rather than breaking your head on teaching others, you yourself having no knowledge, first you make an attempt to gain knowledge. First you make an attempt to gain devotion, and then talk of the spirit, then talk of devotion and knowledge to the people. Then you go and teach them. But first, you yourself gain something. And Sri M appreciated this point that আমার বুঝাতে যাবার কি দরকার? What is the need for me to go and educate people? Neither have I seen God, nor have I got any devotion for him yet. Later on, with Sri Ramakrishna's influence, with his teachings, Sri M is going to get a wonderful devotion for Sri Ramakrishna, for our Ma. His devotion is going to be supreme. So Sri M accepts his fault. And then Sri Ramakrishna finally tells him, like a mother, she cooks the food as per the taste and digestive power of her children. The same fish she cooks in a different way for her 5 different children. Likewise, God has created various forms of worship depending on the tendencies of his children. Some like formless, some want form, some want this form, some want that form. So even within form, he has created variations to suit the need of his children. Now, finally, at the end of 4th chapter, Sri Ramakrishna asks him, Bujhle? Master says, Agya ha. And now we take up Pancham Parichhet. Samsararnavaghore yah karnadhara swarupakaha namostu Ramakrishnaya tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Where are my notes? So Sri M starts 5th chapter with this particular shloka. Salutations to Sri Ramakrishna. Salutations to that Guru who, as the captain of a ship, takes one across the deep sea of the world. And then Sri M asks for Bhaktir Upay. Now, the knowledge-oriented M is going to start thinking about devotion. From brain to heart. Master, Vinit Bhave, with all humility, with humbleness. Ishware ki kore mon hoy. How to fix mind on God. Now, there is a transformation in Sri M. What he was in the 4th chapter, answering and arguing with Sri Ramakrishna. Now he has become so polite, so humble that he asks Sri Ramakrishna, how to fix mind on God? And Sri Ramakrishna answers, Sri Ramakrishna, Ishwarer naam gungan সর্বদা করতে হয় আর সৎসঙ্গ ভক্তে ঈশ্বরের ভক্ত বা সাধু এদের কাছে মাঝে মাঝে যেতে হয় সংসারের ভিতর ও বিষয় কার্যের ভিতর রাত দিন থাকলে ঈশ্বরে মন হয় না মাঝে মাঝে নির্জনে গিয়ে তার চিন্তা করা বড় দরকার প্রথম অবস্থায় মাঝে মাঝে নির্জন না হলে ঈশ্বরে মন রাখা বড়ই কঠিন যখন চারা গাছ থাকে তখন তার চারিদিকে বেড়া দিতে হয় বেড়া না দিলে ছাগল গরুতে খেয়ে ফেলে ধ্যান করবে মনে কোণে ও বনে, আর সর্বদা সৎসৎ বিচার করবে। ঈশ্বরই সৎ, কিনা নিত্য বস্তু, আর সব অসৎ, কিনা অনিত্য। এই বিচার করতে করতে অনিত্য বস্তু মন থেকে ত্যাগ করবে না। Sri M has taken shelter at Sri Ramakrishna's feet and asks how to fix mind on God. And Sri Ramakrishna says, one should chant the name of Lord all the time. ईश्वरे नाम गुणगान सर्वदा करते हुए, और सत्संग, company of the holy. That is another way of fixing mind on God. Training the mind through satsanga, through the company of the holy. ঈশ্বরের ভক্ত বা সাধু এদের কাছে মাঝে মাঝে যেতে হয়। Go to the devotees once in a while. Go to the devotees. Go to saints. Go to holy people. Spend time with them. Learn from them. Get your heart, your worldly heart, tuned to that out of the world environment. সংসারের ভিতর ও বিষয় কাজের ভিতর রাত দিন থাকলে ঈশ্বরে মন হয় না। Once you are day and night spending your life in this worldly affairs, you cannot fix your mind on God. মাঝে মাঝে নির্জনে গিয়ে তার চিন্তা করা বড় দরকার। It is very much necessary once in a while to go to a secluded place. Go in seclusion, away from these worldly affairs. In the initial stages, if one does not retire to a secluded place, it becomes very difficult to focus, concentrate mind on God. When the trees are small, we have to secure them with the compound. If that security is not provided to the small tree, to the sapling, all the goats and cattle will they come and eat it off. They will just destroy it. So secure it with a compound, with a barricade, so that it is protected from the animals. And once it grows, once the tree grows, you can even tie animals to it. You can tie a cow to it. And Thakur also says, Dhyan korbe mone kone o bone. These are the three places where a devotee should meditate. Which are those three places? Mone, in one's own mind. Go to the inner core of your mind and meditate. Away from the maddening crowd. Just enter your mind. Or go to a secluded corner of your house, undisturbed, shanti. And the third place, forest. Go to forest and meditate. In the wild, just trees around, the birds chirping, no other crowd, no other worldly madness. So these are the three places Sri Ramakrishna has taught us to meditate. Where to meditate? Mone, Kone, Bone. Ar Sarboda Sat Bichar Korbe. Always discriminate what is real, what is not real. Always keep on discriminating what is real, what is unreal. And Thakur further says, Ishvaro Ishat, the Lord is only the reality. God is the only real thing, the only eternal thing. Arshob Oshat, rest all. Only God is real. Rest all is unreal, temporal. Only God is lasting. All else vanishing. Today, tomorrow, in due course of time, everything vanishes. But only reality is the Lord. এই বিচার করতে করতে অনন্ত বস্তু মন থেকে ত্যাগ করবে, মন থেকে ত্যাগ করবে. Constantly dwelling on this thought, remove the unreal from this mind. Let this mind be the place of only the ultimate reality, the Lord. And remove all else from this mind. That is the only reality. That is the only truth. That is the eternal truth. So that is what Sri Ramakrishna has started teaching Sri M about. How to focus one's mind on God. And this chapter is going to be very interesting as we proceed further reading. Today we stop here. And at the end of this reading, let us contemplate when we sit at one place. Let us contemplate on what Sri Thakur has told Sri M. This is the formal advice. This is his formal first teaching to Sri M when Sri M has directly asked him. So let us think upon what Sri Thakur has told about discriminating between real and unreal, and let us form it a habit. Let us form it a habit, and one day, like Thakur said, we will be able to weed out the unreal from our minds. Let us all pray to Sri Ramakrishna for that to happen. Om Namah Shri Bhagavate Ramakrishna.